So many guys mess up their bulks thinking that they need to gain a bunch of weight to get stronger. Then they end up getting fat and adding only 5 pounds to their lifts. Too many guys have been told by Mark Rippetoe and old school strength coaches that you must gain weight if you want to get stronger, when in reality it's usually the programming that is the problem. I took my lifts from the empty bar at 132 pounds body weight to a 545 pound squat, 352 bench, 661 deadlift, whilst gaining probably around 100 pounds in that process. In this video, I'm gonna tell you how to do a bulk properly without getting fat, so your lifts actually go up and you look like you lift. And if you want me to just do it all for you, I'll write your nutrition plan, I'll fix the training, help you to gain weight in a slow way without putting on a ton of body fat. Top link in the description, you can hire me as your personal strength coach and I'll do it for you. So at the moment, a lot of guys run bulks and they have literally no structure and no approach. They just try to force feed calories, gain weight as quickly as they possibly can, thinking that they can just force the weight on the bar to go up if they eat enough. And I used to do this back when I was in university. I would obsessively weigh myself every single morning. And if the scale hadn't gone up, I would literally convince myself in my mind that I was gonna have a bad training session. I wouldn't be able to add weight to the bar. I literally remember arriving to the gym. I'd walk in, I would step on the scale, and if it hadn't budged at all, I was already disappointed for the session. And if it had gone down, I would even feel like leaving the gym. And I would do obsessive things like drink olive oil or 5,000 calories a day. I was drinking liters of chocolate milk. I had acne all over my face. And it's because I was watching YouTube videos, reading articles of guys like Mark Rippetoe telling me to do GOMAD, telling me I had to gain weight as fast as possible. You're not a real man if you're not 200 pounds. And the whole approach is stupid. Your lifts don't even go up because you've seen it for yourself. Your bench has been stuck at like 275 pounds for the last year, even though you've put on body weight and you've got fatter than before. Now, a lot of guys will follow this approach on the strength side of things. Then on the bodybuilding, it's even worse because they don't do hard accessories. They follow generic intermediate programs like 531 or 5x5. And you know what the accessory lifts look like on those programs. It's a 3x10, 4x12. It's really lazily programmed. You probably don't even track the weights you do. They're nowhere near failure. You're not putting on any muscle mass and you're essentially not using those extra calories that you're eating anyway. So the end result, you end up with this huge surplus. You gain 20, 30 plus pounds. And then you just end up 20% body fat at the end. You can't see your abs and your lifts have barely moved. So this is exactly what I would do instead if you actually want to put on some muscle mass and you want your lifts to go up in the process. You don't want to look like shit at the end of it. So I would find out your maintenance using a TDEE calculator. So literally go on Google, type in TDEE, and it's going to give you an estimate of your maintenance calories. The number of calories that you need to eat on a daily basis to maintain your current body weight. So for example, let's just say that comes out to 2,500. A lot of guys will make the mistake of adding on 500 or maybe even more to that number. I would run literally the smallest possible surplus. So you could even start out with 100 extra calories on top of that. So you might start with 2,600. Hit that every day over the next few weeks. Measure your body weight every morning. Measure your waist circumference every 2 weeks. That's really important. A lot of guys don't do that because it's going to prevent you from getting too fat. And milk that for as long as you possibly can. You don't need a big surplus. You can't force feed muscle growth. Your lifts probably aren't going up that fast at the moment anyway. So gain weight very, very slowly, because over the course of a year, if you've been training for more than 2 or 3 years, realistically, you can only gain a couple of pounds of muscle per year anyway. So there's no point force feeding it, gaining a bunch of fat, and then you have to go and do a long cut anyway. So have a really small surplus, 100 calories. Only change the calories once your weight gain has stalled for a week minimum, ideally 2 weeks. So if the scale hasn't gone up in 2 weeks, then you can add another 50 to 100 calories. I would do it in very small increments. And when you do increase it, I would add it from carbohydrates. So the next thing I would do is I would aim for a rate of weight gain of around 0.5 kilo to 1 kilo per month, maximum. Don't go anything above this. If you're not very well trained, your lifts aren't very strong, I would go with 1 kilo per month. If you are, 0.5 kilo per month. If you are a little bit more trained, you're a little bit stronger, you're a little bit more advanced in your training career, I would go to the low end, 0.5 kilo per month, okay? So fall in that 0.5 to 1 kilo range per month. Personally, if I bulk right now, I never go over 0.5 kilo of weight gain per month. because I understand that none of that extra weight is going to be muscle. It's going to be body fat that I have to lose later. Now, you need to track two important things when you do your bulking periods. Don't just put yourself in a surplus and assume that you're going to gain muscle mass, because it doesn't work like that, and strength as well, especially. So first things first, you need to track your strength. You need to get on a better program, and you need to ensure that your lifts are actually going up. Because a lot of guys make the mistake, if they get themselves in a bulk, their lifts don't go up at all, and they just purely gain fat. Like I've had guys say to me on the calls that I do with my one-to-one clients, you can book a call, top link in the description, by the way, if you want me to do all this for you, where they will tell me my bench hasn't gone up in the past 6 months, 12 months, but I've gained like 20 pounds. And I ask them, how do you feel about your physique now? And they say, like, I don't really look much different. I just look fatter. And it's because the programming is not utilizing those extra calories that you're consuming. There's no point being in a surplus if the program isn't working to get you stronger. Secondly, you want to have a look at your bodybuilding accessories as well, because again, if they're not progressing and you're not training them close to failure, you're not utilizing that surplus, your bulk isn't working. Like, the training is the stimulus for the muscle growth. The food is just like allowing that or permitting the muscle to be built from the training. The lifts have to be going up, and you need to be taking the accessories close to failure. So if you're running something like 5-3-1, where you do I think it's the boring but big, where it's like 5 sets of 10 on your accessories, you're not going to be gaining muscle, and you're not going to be using the calories from your bulk, because those sets are nowhere near failure, and it's likely you're not able to add weight to them over time. So I recommend instead training your accessories for 2 or 3 sets, 4 to 8 reps, RPE 9 to 10. You need to be trying to beat the logbook every time and going close to failure. So to finish out the video, I have a couple pro tips for you to actually implement this into your next bulking period. Tip number 1, and this is something that I have learned over years and years of experience, because I've messed around with lots of ways to gain weight. I would call myself a hard gainer. I really struggled to gain weight. Like I said, I was 132 pounds at 6 feet tall. I'm now about 200 pounds. At my heaviest, I was 220. I like body weight of 200 for myself personally. I have visible abs. I have some veins in my arms and stuff like that. And to get to this point, I experimented with loads of different meal plans, meal frequencies and stuff like that. I tried 3 meals a day, 4, 5, 6, 7, even where I was eating like every hour because guys on YouTube told me. And if I could give you one piece of advice from this video, if you struggle to gain weight and struggle to do your bulking periods, you need to find a meal schedule that works for your appetite, like your personal needs. Because for me, eating every hour or eating all the time throughout the day would kill my appetite. I wouldn't want to eat. I couldn't get the calories down. After meal 1 or 2, I'm already full, dreading the next meal. I just wouldn't stick to it. And then it would end up where I'd hit a surplus for 1 or 2 days of the week. Then I'm in a deficit for the rest of the week, and it just didn't work for me. Now I actually eat 1 meal per day, and I'm gaining weight on that. I'm already 200 pounds very easily. I think I could get back to 220 pounds on 1 meal a day. I literally wake up, I have a protein shake, one of the ready-made ones with 50 grams of protein. It's technically a meal, but it's just liquid calories. Then in the evening time, around 7 or 8 p.m., I open my fast, and then I eat all my calories in that window before bed up until about midnight. Typically, I can get down 3,000 plus calories in this window because I'm so hungry from fasting all day. So you're going to need to experiment and see what works best for you. Don't just listen to the advice online of like 5, 6 meals a day, because it might not work for your appetite. And chances are, if you're watching this video, those typical approaches are probably not working. Tip number 2 is I would say liquid calories are key. You're probably not going to be able to eat enough food in a lot of cases. So I would usually add liquid calories on at the end of an evening before I went to bed. So I'd have whole milk, chocolate milk, protein shakes and stuff like that. So I'd have my eating window. Then before I slept, I would drink as much fluid as I possibly could, like to the point of vomiting basically, as much as I could get down. And you can probably get like 1,500 calories down of milk, fruit juices and stuff like that. Might not be the healthiest way to do it, but for a short-term bulking period where you just want to put some weight on to support your lifts in the gym, I think it can be quite effective. And the final tip I would give you is never go to bed hungry. So even if you've hit your calorie target for that day and you're still hungry, I would take advantage of that, because if you're in a weight gain period, you want to look at your calories across an entire week. So if, for example, you've had 2 low days where you didn't quite hit your calories, and then on the 3rd day you're really hungry, take advantage of that, get the surplus in, because that will probably make up for the 2 low days you had. And across the week, it will even out to actually creating a surplus. So to summarize, if you take anything from this video, I would highly recommend that you just ignore all of that old school advice from Mark Rippetoe, all these old school strength coaches telling you to gain as much weight as possible, that you can force feed muscle growth and strength, that you need to do GOMAD. All these ideas are completely fucking stupid. You don't have to gain weight that quickly to get really strong. I literally maintained around 93 kilo body weight, and my lifts went up. Like, I remember my squat was stuck at 500 pounds, it went to 545. Bench was stuck at 340, it went to 352. It was less than 340, it was about 150 kilos, which is about 330. My deadlift was stuck at 280 kilos, went up to 300. I gained 0 body weight in that time. It's not to say you don't need to gain body weight like through your entire training career, but you definitely don't need to do it quickly. You don't need to force feed it, and you don't need to get to 20% body fat and get really fat in the process. So I'd recommend you run a small surplus, half a kilo to 1 kilo per month. Lifts must be going up, and you must be training your bodybuilding accessories hard if you want to actually utilize that surplus and look like you lift. And if you want me to put all of this into a plan for you, I teach my clients all the time to get really, really strong whilst actually having a good looking physique and not getting fat. You don't have to train like old school powerlifters to get strong. You can train in modern ways to get really strong and still look like you lift. We want to look like we're jacked if we're spending all this time in the gym. So top link in the description, you can book a call with me. I'll do all that for you. Thanks so much for watching. Until next time, I'll catch you in the next one.